Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live Scribbles with Jonathan. You can check out my website and my work at jonathanrector.com. And quick shout out to all my Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I actually grabbed a few new ones over the last, I don't know, couple weeks. And I've had a couple Patreon meetings with some of you guys, and I hope you guys had a good time. I had a blast. Some of the stuff we've gone over with some people was, character design, story. I had one of you guys talk just about your project. Just wanted to talk about how that was going and where. And I'm humbled by this that there are people out there that are interested in my perspective on what you should do next. It's a very humbling thing, and hopefully I can help you out and all that good stuff. So I don't want to linger on that, but I just want to say thank you to all the new patrons and all that cool stuff. And if you guys aren't patrons and you guys are here in the chat, thank you for showing up. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks, you guys are the best. So what are we doing today? What are we doing? Just an update. The first stream of every month. I'm just going to say this probably until next month as well, so you guys can all kind of hear it. The first stream of every month will be the critique show, so you guys can kind of get all of your critiques ready. If you had any art that you'd like me to critique, save it for then if you can, and that'll be that. So you guys can get ready for next month. What I'm going to be doing today, some more Castle Dracula. This isn't. I mean, it could be part of the comic. I don't know. But I've said this before, and I'll just say it again because I think a lot of you guys might get something out of this too if you aren't already doing this, where I'll have like a story idea play in my head or like a piece of script or dialogue or something, and writing it down is fine, and keeping it like I keep a vanilla or manila folder around just with loose sheets of paper, sketches, all kinds of stuff for each project I'm doing. So even with this, sometimes writing it down isn't enough. Sometimes I want to write or draw both, right? And I don't want to spend the entire time just doing like a full comic page, let's just say. I just sort of want to get the ideas down, and maybe I'll pull it out later. So what we'll be doing today is just 2 panels of something I was thinking about for the story, anyway. And who knows if it'll ever go in there. It's fun to just sort of do this for plot and stuff like that. We're back in Photoshop. We're probably going to be staying in here for quite a while. I can't imagine leaving anytime soon. And again, this shows for you guys as well. So I don't know how much art instruction sort of stuff we'll be doing. But if you had a question, if you guys need help with anything, by all means, you can throw that in the chat. I ask that you put it in all capitals just so I can see it quicker. So right now we're just working on the tighter sketches, I suppose you could say. Excuse me. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make a folder here for border, or you can call it panels, whatever you like. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle around here. Again, this is just for my notes, really. It has nothing to do with being final. Oh, right, sorry. So we're going to put on there, select, modify, contract. 10 might look okay. 10's a nice size frame. Yeah, it looks good. Or border. Let's get the next one in here. I think I wanted his head popping out on this one. Just make it seem a little bit more intense. Maybe. I'll bring it down here. Track 10. And this is literally all I do for comic panels. I know Manga Studio has a really awesome... I had never really got into the new one of how to get that one going good, but I'll fix this up later and we can clean up a whole bunch of stuff. But let's just get back to the refs. But what was I saying? Yeah, so Manga Studio's got a lot of cool tools for all this. You guys know how much I love that program, even though I'm not using it right now. So just curl this up. I'm going to have tomorrow. There's going to be a video up for part 2 of my Huion GT220 review. It's about 2 months early for the 6-month review, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. I have to make a note. I do have to change. Right now I am using the Wacom Cintiq 12WX. I went back to that. I do talk about it a little bit in that video. So I do get comments almost weekly asking about people, or people are asking like what my thoughts are. Do I still think it's good? All that. So the interest is there. There's a lot of people interested in that stuff. And what's new with you guys? Who's working on projects today? Anybody working on their own stuff, or are they working on client stuff? What are you guys doing? Practicing? I started a new, I don't call it a regimen, I always hate calling it that, but trying to get up early again before work. Right now I get up at around 6:30 in the morning so that I get about 30 minutes to an hour of just doing my own thing. And what I was doing for a little while was like client work and stuff, because that's sort of getting like out of hand, which is, a great problem to have. But projects like this, they're just not getting any momentum going. So the intent is to get up earlier every day. That way I can at least put some time into them. Let's say this up here. James is saying, if anybody's looking for a huge set of Manga Studio 5 brushes that are really good, there's a YouTube link. Actually, here, let me see if I can copy this, and I'll put this in the show notes for you guys on YouTube. Let me just paste that in a new video. Millennium Man is saying is finishing up their insect commission this week. And you hope to start redoing your 5-page comic. Oh, the one that, okay, right on. Awesome. Awesome. That's pretty exciting. Because you have the convention coming up soonish, right? I think that's right. Donald DeLay is saying, I just wrapped up a kid's book, still chugging away on the webcomic and writing a 48-page one-shot. Awesome. The link that James did talk about, it's $3. So it's, I know some people that kind of get a little, on the internet, why do I got to pay for stuff? But if it's quality, if it's quality. All right, so let's go in here. So let's just think about the stages. I should say on the outset as well, again, because I do get the comments all the time of this, and I understand there's a lot of videos to go through, so a lot of this is repeating for some of you guys that are that have been around for a while. That if you're interested in what I'm going to be doing this whole show here, or pretty much going forward with a lot of art, to be honest with you, is just pick up the DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawing Questions. Or digitally. Sorry. Yeah. Art by Peyton asked, will I be answering? Yes, I will totally answer questions. But the book you want to get is the DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawing Comics. And the entire workflow I'm going to go through is in there as well. Okay? So the book is extremely cheap. And I got to give the little shout out and the plug whenever I can. Let me just get some. I don't know what we're going to do here for this motion line. Like maybe his hair to be a little bit more snappy. I just want to try one other thing here. So try rotating the eye. I'm not sure if I like the eye. Whoa. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks a little better. Oh, thanks, bud. I know this cursor is just out of control. So if you guys can see as well, I got like little cheesy speech bubbles. For me, with personal work, I don't know why. I find that when I'm doing my own stuff, as little as you guys have ever seen any of it, or if you're following me on Facebook, all that stuff like that, like I'll post little panels like this. What I like with panels is sort of like the manga kind of feel, where they won't be round. They're like more boxy shape like this. There's just something about it. It's kind of like, I don't want it to look like it has the, in the air quotes here, polish of like Marvel, DC, like a book you'd go into the store and grab. I like the look of manga and stuff. And I don't know, there's just something about it that sort of is kind of like a middle finger in a way to the established comics, and there's something indie about it, that feel that, I don't know, it's hard to put it into words besides just, the words I just gave it. But I don't know, that's just something that I've been trying to do, and you'll see it in this as well, because I'm hoping to get these two panels done with you guys here. Yes, it does. Oh my. Okay, so let's get this going here. All right, so we got our roughs here. I got two folders here. This one I did during the pre-show. Uh, you can see all it is literally where things are supposed to go, and maybe a little bit too much detail where they are. The next stage of roughs is just further tightening it. I don't want to go too far because the method that we're working in is essentially for speed. And you don't want to be getting noodle, or you don't want to noodle on too many layers here. So this one we're gonna put lines. This is where we would put like our tight line art, a little F3 action. And I'm actually going to open this adjustment layer and just crank up the lightness a little bit more. Hopefully you guys can still see it. I just find that the version that I had, it tends to get a little crazy town. Like I can't really see it. I'm gonna start with this one because this one just looks like fun to draw here. All right. I also put up a video on Monday. I don't know how many of you guys saw it because we had the big Labor Day weekend here, but there's a pinup I was doing with Castle Dracula as well. And the second video of that will be up next Monday, where we go over the inking and things. So we're going to go over most of that today as well. So we're just worrying about like picking the important lines here. And once we get to the inking stage, a lot of this is going to get tightened up and stuff. Oh, thanks, Pillow. We're going to be doing all kinds of wild actions and stuff to break some of this up. You'll see. So what he's talking about here, and actually I should probably put the text in now, is somebody's questioning him about what's his purpose. So the first story anyway. What I plan on doing is I did talk about recently as well, kind of being like, the story's getting too heavy and all that. But what I decided to do is just break it into chapters and tackle them as we go. Sometimes, like who knows where life's going to go, and I don't want to not work on this just because I don't have necessarily time to do the whole story. Doesn't matter. Let's get it out in chapters as we go, right? Let's just do it. Let's just have some fun. And so this first chapter. Well, he will be in this one. Sorry, but you kind of hear about Dracula. I don't think you might see him. I'm not sure yet. I'm still working on the plots and all that. But Gildas here he's a demon slayer, and he's part of a group of demon slayers. And we'll just call them, I don't know, like the guild or the council right now. We'll come up with a cooler name than that. And basically, he's been tasked with going to a close-ish village because they've been hearing reports of like mutilated people and essentially just bad news teddy bears, something that sounds like demonic activity, right? And if you guys have remembered, we did a few months back now character design for the Butcher King. So that's who he's going to be going eventually towards at the end, is the Butcher King. And you will hear hints of Dracula in there, of why the demon activity and all that good stuff like that. So this here is somebody sort of like at the village, just kind of like, I don't want to say talking down to him, but just saying some stuff to him. And what Gildas is talking about to this guy, or snapping at him, is that the moment when he sort of decided to become a demon hunter or a demon slayer. Really just sounds better. I was in a cathedral, and he can still smell there's a burning cathedral, and he can still smell the dead children's burning flesh, and really gross kind of stuff. But I just want it to be like when you see him talking about it, it's not like I don't want to say warm memories because that's a like a kind of thing, but definitely brings back stuff that he would rather not talk about. And anybody that's going to question his resolve or anything like that sort of deal, right? Okay, so what we're going to do here is I've got some of his hair, his little wispy hair. So I'm going to make a new layer. We're going to grab our lasso tool, and I'm just going to make like the outside selection of it. I'm going to fill it black. So we're worrying about like the contour lines here. So if you can think of it in terms like you're drawing the outside lines. Let's just suck it in a little bit here. It's just a quick way to kind of get the information down that you want. Whoops. Oh my gosh, why is it doing that? Let's try this again. Alright, so we'll have that, and then I'm going to run an action. And what this action does is, on this layer, because it's on its own layer, you can just hold Control and click, and it'll make a selection. And what we do is we select that, we make that selection, contract it by like whatever the line weight is that you're using. So I'm using 3 pixels to do this deadline. So we subtract it by 3, fill it white, and it'll knock out everything behind it, right? So we'll have it like this, and then watch. We just hit, I forget, I think it's F9. Let's see what happens. Nope, definitely not that one. You would think I would know by now, right? Alright, so let me just... Oops, that layer shouldn't be there. Okay, so let me go to my actions because I have it here. I had to change it last night. Shapes to lines, F8. That's what it is. You just press F8 and then we get this. So it might look weird because it's white over top of the everything else. But once you like lower or get rid of your sketch lines, right? Like that looks like a normal line. And when we get into inking and stuff, you can tighten all this up and not really worry about it. And you can build all sorts of stuff like this, okay? Claudio, John, did you try the line weight tool? No, I haven't. Thank you for replying, though. I do appreciate that. I haven't been in Manga Studio for personal work in probably over 2 or 3 weeks now. It's been primarily in Photoshop, save for like some of the Patreon meetings where most of you guys coming into comics prefer to work in Manga Studio. So, going there, but no, I haven't. Pillowhead, John, how did you get them action like how you set up? Okay, so what I'll show you guys is how to make a quick action. So you guys can do this, and I encourage experimenting, play around with something, whatever it is that you feel like you do a lot of, that might help by just making an action for it. You can do this in Manga Studio as well. It's a little different. Just give me 1 second here. I think they're called, if any of you know in the chat, by all means just chime it out. I believe they're not actions, they're something else. Anyway, so we'll get it in there. Okay, so we're gonna have this. I'm gonna actually fill this one with black here, like we would do. Then we're gonna run the action again, but I want that to be behind what we just drew. So we're just gonna go like that, and you can see because it's got the white knockout layer in there that it just overlaps it. Again, grab the DC Comics guide. All of this is talked about there, or hell, even go on Freddie Williams' YouTube channel. Pretty sure he talks a lot about this stuff, but I'll show you guys how to record actions and stuff because they're massive. Like if you look, these are some of the stuff I have. Contour lines, you know, makes a contour line around something. Shapes to line, which is what we're doing. Flip the image. In Manga Studio, you really don't need to worry about that because there's a hotkey for that. 72 dpi, this is great for sending editors, or if you just want to make a small little image for yourself. I can press F12 right now. It'll flatten everything, merge all the layers together, shrink it down to 72 dpi, and it's ready to go. I don't have to go up to layer, merge, and all that stuff. It's just speedier. Expand the lines and fill. Some endpoints and blue lines, which is again more of a Photoshop thing. So this is what you would do. Go to Window. You're going to go to Actions. Right here. Mine's already up. Let me just drag it out here so you guys can see it a little bit better. And you can make all kinds of new folders so that you can, like if I'm going to make one myself just for coloring and stuff like that, okay? But what we'll do is we'll make a brand new one here. So what you do is inside this, anything you want to happen can happen. Okay. All right. So here, I'll show you for an example here. Okay. So let's just say I want contour lines. I want something that thickens the character or something. Okay. So what I'll do is you have to think of it in the terms that you would actually use this in. Okay. So I'm going to make a new layer. And in that new layer, I'm going to draw Circle Boy. Circle Boy's face. Okay. So here's Circle Boy. Here's his face. He's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so we got Circle Boy. He's ready to go. And what we want is that outline around him, okay? So I know that if I want to make an outline around him like a contour line, I need all my lines to match up, right? So if you look around all the lines, the contour line again is the line that wraps around the form. So you can see everything's tight. So if I press W with my wand tool, turn off sample all layers, and I click, you can see how the marquee here just wraps around him. It doesn't go inside because those lines are done. Okay. So what I would do is I want to make an action for my contour lines. And there's a lot of ways to do this. I'll show you how I do it for myself. Okay. So we got our actions up here. We're ready to go. I'm going to think of it like recording video or audio. I'm going to record the steps I'm taking so that I can do all of this just by pressing a button without having to worry about anything, okay? So down here you got a whole bunch of tools. We're going to want this one, just like layers. It's a new something. I don't know what it is. You click new action, it comes up. I'm just going to write test for Picarto. Okay, set. I have Jonathan comic actions. You can make your own. That's fine. Function key. Now this is what you press, or you can click on here to press play. The function key is what's faster. Okay, and it's easier to be able to do all kinds of stuff like this. Okay, so I'm going to set it to what don't I have right now? I don't have an F10. Okay, I'll delete this after. You can also hold Shift and Control if you want, so that it gives it, so you get more actions basically. Okay, so now we're gonna hit record. So if you see there's a red dot, it's recording all the actions that we're gonna do. Okay, so actually let me hit stop. I'm gonna hit stop because I don't want to record. What I want to record is the actual making of it, not the wand tool. Okay, so I want it. So once I have the selection, it makes that contour line. Okay, so I'm gonna select it. Now we're gonna hit record. Sorry, I'm a little backwards on you guys. There's tons of resources out there. Don't worry about learning it right now. I just want to show you how powerful this is. So we're recording it. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go select, modify, expand. I'm gonna expand that selection I just made by 1, and you're gonna see it comes into the line art a little bit, which is perfect. That's what we want. I'm going to go select inverse. Now, I'm inverting the selection, which means this guy is totally selected now. Okay. Now I'm going to go up. I'm going to make a new layer. You can see it's recording all these things. So I have a new layer. I'm going to go edit, fill with white. Okay. Cool. Then we're going to go select, deselect. So now it's not selected anymore. And now this is how I like to make contour lines myself. Okay. Right click on the layer, and I'm going to go to blending options. And what we're looking for is a stroke right here. And what this does is it makes a stroke around the object. And I like to start off with 3. That's fine, right? We're going to click OK. Okay, sorry. We have the position on the inside. You can put it on the outside if you like. Try that. We'll hit OK. Now the last thing we need is I need that layer to go underneath the line art, right? So we can go to Layer, Arrange, Send back. Send to back. I believe that's right. We'll see what happens. No, that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to have to stop the recording. I'm going to click the layer I didn't like. I'm going to hit delete. Okay, we're going to undo what we had. We're going to go back to recording again. This is how flexible you can be with it. So we're going to go layer, arrange, send backward. And what that does is that drops it down a layer. And then I'm going to hit stop. Okay, so now what I've done is anytime I press F10, it'll do all of that stuff. Okay, and I'll show it to you and prove it here. So I'm going to delete that contour layer. So we've got this guy, he's all ready to go. I'm going to make my selection just like that. Now I'm going to press F10. Boom. Just like that, we're done. And I don't ever have to go in anything. The reason why I like doing this here is because what if Circle Boy here is in front of us and we want a bigger stroke around him, like a fatter outline. I can just go in here and hit 10. Boom. Look at that. We're good to go. And that's more than enough to start with, right? And once I'm ready to start inking, what I would do is merge all these layers so it turns all this stroke business off. You won't ever have to worry about it. Okay, so let's just do one more just so you guys can see again how, how powerful this is. With a 3-pixel brush, I don't know, we'll do, doesn't even matter. We'll do a quick Batman, the worst Batman you've ever seen, with the big fat lips. You know how we like them. Really a crusader of the night. This is the derpest Batman I've ever seen. Cool. Alright, so we got our sweet Batman. We look at all our lines are connected. That's great. I'm going to hit the wand tool. Select right. You can see it's all there. Press F10. Bang. Look at that. Boom. Instant contour line. I don't have to go in there and make any selections around anything. It's good. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. And the cool part about making it white is this. We can do this now. Because I made him, it's like a knockout layer. So if I drag him, it goes over top. So if I wanted to adjust things, I can still do that as well. So you can, again, totally do this all in Manga Studio. I just forget what it's called. It's not Actions, it's something else. I think one of you guys probably said it in the chat. I just didn't see it. So I'm going to delete that action. And we're going to put it back in its spot. Alright, let's get back to some of this. Alright, so what line are we working on right now? Yeah, absolutely. You guys can ask questions as much as you want. No, don't worry about it. It's like I said, I already know what I'm going to... Basically, the only thing that really matters in here, to be honest with you guys, is that sketch I had and the text that I'm going to put in. So it doesn't really matter. James saying it's the outline tool, no action required for that in Manga Studio. Yeah, I believe you can. I think we talked about that in the one video. You can just draw over and thicken the lines. Yeah. I will say too, I mean, you guys can probably talk about it in the chat or if you already have, and I know I've had discussions about this, is Manga Studio is better than Photoshop. No, Photoshop, let's be honest guys, who cares? Work with what you like. I recommend experimenting with both. I work in both. Find what you like. Everything's got its little thing. Some people just like different workflows or like certain steps that work in one maybe better or different to them in them and all that stuff like that. But yeah, there's so many really cool things out there right now that you guys can do. It'd be a shame not to just experiment with this stuff. Millennium Man is saying... doesn't the outline tool only work if the image is in vector? I'm not sure. Maybe. I think so. Art by Peyton is saying, every time I've tried to make a comic book, I get started, but then I doubt my art skills and give up. Do you have any advice? Great question. I actually had this question with a Patreon member last night. And so the way I like to think of it, I'm with you. There used to be a time where I would get creative paralysis, and I wouldn't do anything because my art wasn't where I thought it needed to be. You know, like it wasn't spotlight material. Um, and there's some truth to that, but to be fair, in comics, the amount of stuff you need to learn on the job is crazy, especially if you're working for somebody else. I mean, you'll never really know what you can and can't do until somebody asks you to draw something. You get a comic script that's got you drawing horses in the city and ooze monsters fighting cosmic gods. Like your skills need to be everywhere, and they're not going to be on point on everything. So the short answer would be, honestly, know that what you're doing right now, what you're trying to do, is most likely going to turn out shit, and do it anyway. Make the best shit you can. Because if you don't, nothing's gonna happen, and then you're gonna hate it. You're always gonna regret, like, oh, I wish I did something sooner, or why am I not working on anything right now? And you're just gonna put all these questions in your head that are just going to like kill you. If you don't believe in yourself, like nobody else gives a shit. As bad as that sounds, nobody really cares if you suffer with your art, how hard it is to do things. The only people that even remotely have an understanding are your colleagues, other people like us that are doing comics, right? So most people aren't going to care about the struggle it took you to make this masterpiece, which most likely, the odds are anyway that it won't be. So just do it the best you can, and don't hold on to a story waiting until you get this this invisible skill that you think you'll get eventually. Who knows how long? Some people, they learn, like, you could spend 6 weeks and just study your brains out and literally come out an amazing artist at the end. Absolutely amazing. You could spend 6 years and still be stuck in the same spot because you study different, or maybe you study the wrong things, whatever that means, right? Just do it. If you got an idea right now, do it. Just do it the best you can. You had to do that Shia LaBeouf stuff or whatever his name is. But like, one thing I've noticed, and I talked about it last week, of wanting to skip even doing this, was, oh, the project's getting too big, and okay, Captain Excuses, like, get over it. Nobody cares. People just want stuff, and I want stuff. I want to be able to make stuff. I want to do more stuff, But I know my writing's not where it should be, so I was gonna scrap this and just go into what was it, a Jessup King story that I kind of already had plotted out because it's quicker and faster, right? But at the end of the day, I was just thinking, no, don't. You're shortchanging yourself. In 10 years, if I came back to do this story here, would it be better? I would hope so. But in 10 years, if I don't have better stories to tell, then that's a different problem. I think you've got a whole different problem there that you need to. And this might sound a little, I don't mean to be offensive or anything, but get over yourself kind of thing, okay? That sort of thing. Just draw your comics, man. Just worry about it. You're going to get better by doing. And most people that don't really do comics, I would say, have no clue what you're really getting into. The amount of work, how many hats you have to wear, it's crazy. Lettering, writing, drawing. Then when it's done, then what? Are you just doing it to do it, or are you trying to sell this stuff? I wouldn't worry about all that stuff right now, but like eventually you're gonna have to worry about, like, okay, so what am I doing with this stuff? Am I selling it? But right now, you just gotta make it. Just make it the sexiest you can make it. So I hope that helped you out a little bit. No problem, bud. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit. Some real talk, I guess. Alright, so I don't know what the hell's going on here with his face. I got so many lines going on here and so many layers. Let's try to find this one. That line. That's what I want. He's got some sweet chin music just going right into his thingy-majigger here. Alright, so what's going on here? Let me turn the roughs off because I'm losing the image here. Alright, so he's kind of here. I kind of want more back action on him. Needs a neck. That'd be good. I don't want to show that. I don't want that profile. Okay, so what I would do here is, I don't know. What am I doing? I'm gonna clean up some of these lines. And then we're going to do that contour line. And be good to go. Alright, so what we'll do, I need to just start merging these layers together. It's getting wild. Let's turn the border off. So what I'll need to do here is I'm just going to close up lines that we don't want to draw inside. Like, look how jiggy. Ugh. I was zoomed out so much, these lines got such jitter on them. It's crazy. Normally it's not this bad, but I think because I'm streaming, it's got a little funk to it. It's got a little life to it. Is his cape a zipper? No, it's got, it's like these, like if he was wearing it on his shoulders, let's say like a regular cape, it's got like, it comes way down like this, and on this side, it's got like these little ruffles. Like this. That's about it. Just going here, making sure all the lines are tight. Let's go here, got his neck. Oh, no, that won't work. Alright, so I think we got all that side, and the last time we'll just go in here. A lot of this we're going to be cleaning up anyway. Okay, so let's see if we get lucky here with the selections. This part is kind of crappy. So let's see what we got here. So we select everything on the outside. Cool. Select on here, and here, here, and here. And let's see if we get lucky here. What is it? F8. Nope, it's not that. F9. Jeez. We'll eventually remember it. Alright, so I think that needs to be a little bit thicker. So let's open this up in the stroke. Probably even go up to 5, probably. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. Right? And then I could turn the border back on. You know, I'm going to erase some of this because I want his head popping out. That. And what I would eventually do too is, here, I'll show you guys here, because we can get around doing this, which is pretty cool. So I'd have all of this. I'm going to use my wand tool. I'm going to select it. Select, modify, contract by, I don't know, 2. Oh, expand, that's what I wanted. Select, modify, expand. And what we're doing is we're making the gutters, the white areas here in the panel. F6, we're going to drop it underneath, and we're just going to fill that white. And what this will do is you'll see like my roughs, see how they all get cropped inside? That's what we want. This is, so you can always draw outside and it feels better. But then what happens is like, okay, so his head here, we need that head action back, right? So all we got to do is just lower the opacity and then just erase it. So I'm going to erase the panel border here. Yeah, get the gutters. I'm actually just going to make a selection, just quicker. Hit delete. Jack up the opacity. There you go. And that just makes it, you know, clean. So you can zoom out and all that stuff like that. Let me just check in here. Da-da-da-da. Layer masks, yeah, some people do use that as well. I've never gotten into them. I don't think, anyway. So it could be way out to lunch. Anyway, the last thing we'll do here for this guy is F6. It's one more contour layer. What do we go up to? Size 5? And this just helps us with our inking once we get to it. And what we're trying to do here is just break out certain areas to make it easier when we get to the inks. That's all. And this part, I'm not a fan of doing this. It's pretty boring. But it's just a step in the right direction, sort of thing. See if we can get that one to work. Ish. Noah's asking, John, how do you make new albums on Facebook and categorize them? I don't know. I know you can when you're doing photos. If you look under your own photos, there's a way to make an album. I'm not sure how. You might have to manually go in and click each one and go move to this. If that's the case, like, ugh. So much more fun things to do, than that. Let's zoom out here, take a little look here. So you can see what we're doing, right? Like, we're just separating objects, getting it ready for prime time, getting it ready for our inks when we get to it. Like, a lot of the work's pretty much, the heavy lifting's done here. The actual artwork, in my opinion, happens once we get to the inks. Because you're going to be inking with your pressure sensitive brush at this point. I recommend, and you guys will see it more in process because I haven't really worked in this workflow with you guys in a while, and you guys haven't seen it. And you might not be familiar with it. And I think a lot of people always find this sort of stuff cool. But you'll work with your pressure sensitive brush, and you'll be drawing in black and white. So a lot of this contour line stuff, I'll be drawing over it, cleaning it up. It's really like the last stage for the rendering and, all that stuff. So just zoom out, take another look. I mean, like, this is probably fine to take the inks. And I'll show you what the hell? How much we got? About 10 minutes left? Let's just go ahead and finish this. Art by Peyton is asking, how old was I when I made my first comic? I was... I want to say it was in like around grade 5 or 6, and I basically just swiped a Fantastic no, it was the Avengers. I don't know, Avengers something, but I remember the whole issue was the Hulk fighting Thor. And it was really cool. I came up with this really lame character that was what was his name? Nova. And his costume was literally the Fantastic Four's costume, just green. Brutal. But I really didn't get into comics, I would say, until high school at least. Battle Chasers, which I will plug right now because you all need to hook a brother up here. If you guys don't play video games, I get it. I get it. But if you do, and if you haven't heard already, I'm just going to put it up here because I want to share this because I want the game to get funded. Because this was a comic that got me into comics. I made a post about this. My very fast internet is really, really fast right now. Of just being, what's it called? So cool at the time. Joe Madureira had it. Again, yeah, Battle Chasers is so sick. The fact that they're turning my favorite comic book series of all time into a comic or into a video game, as well as a comic book, and it's picking up where the last one left off. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. And yeah, I know Unseung is saying in the chat too. But Joe Mad, you break my heart. Yeah. You know, I always hear, and I know I've always picked up every book he's been on, and he always leaves and stuff. I know I have an idea of what his life's like. I do concept art for a living as well as comics on the side, and you always want to go back and forth. But the problem is like there's always new things coming along, and it's tough. I get it. I'll obviously defend the hell out of this guy because I just love everything he does, anything he touches. But if you haven't heard, please subscribe. Oh, I'm gonna. Oh, look at this. Look at this. All right, I gotta come back here on my own. We got stretch goals up now. Shit just got real. Yeah, no, they're gonna. It's gonna get funded for sure. But the more funding, obviously, the better. Okay, so let's see if we can wrap up the inks here. So the next thing that I would do. So let's just say. Let's get rid of the roughs here. I'm actually gonna let's save this. I'm gonna open this up in a new document. And just show you guys why here. So when I'm done this stage here, I flatten everything and just make it a brand new file that's just flat. That way it cuts down on file size, not each panel. I'm just doing this for an example. But my file would look something like this. Okay, it's a much smaller file. I don't need all the other garbage to get in the way. The artwork is pretty much ready to go. Okay. So the next stage I do is I usually duplicate this just in case something happens to that background layer. We always want to go back to it. And there's this really cool function I have here. I'll show you guys. And what it does is some of you might not like it. That's fine. And I'm just drawing in red. So that I can see where I'm marking it. And what this does is wherever I'm putting this line, it's going to filter that out and sort of make it black. You know, it's going to make it look like it was drawn, hopefully with like a micron or something. You know, like if you were to press paper and the ink bleeds a little bit in there. In Manga Studio, I was actually messing around with this a little bit. I need to get a little bit more in there, but you can do this naturally just by turning, I think it's the velocity. The velocity on your marker. I believe I have a pen that you guys can get on Patreon as well. I've talked about the C-Tech pen. So what I'll do is here, I'll just kind of dress this up where I want to break the lines up. I don't want to go too crazy with it. You can kind of see-ish what's happening here, I hope. But I'll go ahead and I'll drop this on like every layer here. You know, if I want to break up this clean line, clean and it's all wobbly as hell, but see like how it looks like this? And this is kind of like where you can break up that digital look. Hair's really cool with this as well. Don't worry about that too much. Gonna just break up the hair here a bit. You know, clean up some of the sinew in his arm. And I'm still playing around with this myself. I'm not sure how far to go with this, because it does tend to, I don't say messy it up, but it does break up some of the cleanliness of the picture. So let's zoom out so we can see all the red dots everywhere on them. So I'm going to lock the layer, and we're going to fill that with white. Okay, and let me just zoom in here so you guys can see this. So this is how it was, and then this is the white that's on there, and it looks like, you know, a lot of the art's kind of just gone away. We're going to press F8. It's going to run through... What the hell? What did I do wrong? Oh, okay. Although that does look kind of cool. He's got a bunch of bunch of stuff going on here. So let's go to the actions. It's F7 is what we're supposed to press. So make a whole bunch of layers and then crunch them all down. So if you see now, this is what it starts to look like. You see these little lines, these little points? That's what it added to it. So hopefully it gives it the feel that there's a little bit more of like an inked touch to it. And if you actually go up to, like, you see how we broke up all of this? Hopefully it feels less, I don't want to say less digital, but less, it's got a little bit more of like a hand touch to it sort of thing. Next we just make a layer, and this is where we would start our inking. And the lines are a little jittery here because I'm streaming here, but you know, maybe we could bring it up a little bit bigger. And here you just draw with hey, no problem, Art by Patron, thank you. Art by Patron. Peyton. Sorry about that. And what's cool about this is you can always just go in there, and again we're going to draw on white. You don't like something, you just turn this layer off, and that line art, that where you started, is very what's it called? It's still there. You can always go back to it. Erase what you want. Some of these lines don't look good. Let's just slap it with white. So what you can see here, hopefully, like if I just turn this on and off, just so you can see again, like how different it is. Like where it is, it starts the same, but depending on how far you want to push it with the inks and stuff, like you can, you know, go pretty far with it. You know, so see right here, this is a perfect example where this line just kind of went too far. You just draw it back in white. Just clean it up. And all I'm pressing is the X key. You know, and you can just go back and forth between lines and stuff. So I can get a little wild here just to show you guys. I'm bring in the white again and just draw over everything. Clean it back up. Look if I wanted these little like curl things in there. See, and you could spend time doing, you know, whatever the hell you want. Go fill it in with black and stuff. I never really liked drawing eyes like this. So yeah, I never really liked it. So just scratch it. Start it again. But anyway, so the last stage we would do here is, I'll just show you this, is we would do a little bit of rendering. And I've been getting into this just using like the flat, what's it called? The 3 pixel brush again, just to do our rendering. So make another layer. And what I'd like to do anyway on this one is go back to red or a color just so I can see, because I'm going to do that exact same thing we already just did with those endpoints. And this is where we can put all our detail. You know, like I can get in here and just kind of render out these lips a bit. Is the paper book? I don't think so. I believe it's still being printed. I did receive a bunch of stuff in the mail from Tyler James. And I've been signing a bunch of cards and stuff that if you guys did support the book and you were getting bits and pieces of it, like collector's edition stuff, if you had something that had like a signature or something like that in there. So soon. Alright, so you can kind of see where we're going here, like how far we could render and all that, you know. The name of the game is speed. I'm not trying to, I don't want to anyway, spend a lot of time on these panels. Got way too many stories to tell. I hope anyway. So we'd have this, and then make another layer on top. We're going to do the exact same thing we just did, except I'll do blue here so I can still see that. And get our little ink dabs where we want them. It's cool practice just to get in there and break some of this stuff up. Noah's saying, John, do you look at specific bodybuilders for superhero physique reference, or just look at anyone you can find? I used to do that when I was studying because that's what I was told to do. Makes sense. But I think you're better off. No, I mean, okay, definitely look at it, at bodybuilders and stuff, because they're going to give you a look, right? What I would recommend is studying cartooning as much as you might want to draw like Jim Lee and stuff, because even Greg Capullo teaches it, talks about it, of drawing that stuff, and it's emotion, it's cartooning. Like, how do you show a pose that has an emotion? And if you look at a bodybuilder, you're going to learn how to draw flexed, realistic muscles all the time, which is great, but it depends on the kind of style you're looking at. You know, I'm rapidly going more cartoony, I hope. As you guys can see, like, I don't really like throwing heavy blacks around anymore. Just this sort of stuff feels more good to me. I'd rather let the colorist do the work and things like that. Ivan Reese, he's a great example. Even him, like, his anatomy is realistic for sure. Probably more like Loomis, that kind of level. He's kind of like Brian Hitch. They have that look, which, if you're looking for that, you know, like even swimmers, they have better physiques. Male models, really. The bodybuilders, like, I couldn't look at like Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler, you know, Mr. Olympias, and go, that's what the Hulk looks like. To me, that's not what the Hulk looks like, right? I don't like the Hulks that do look like that. I'd rather the Hulk just look like a rectangle of muscle. You know what I'm saying? So, Matt, they're talking about Joe Madureira, Battle Chasers. Here, I'll just show you one more thing. Why not? Because he's my favorite artist. So let's scroll down here. Battle Chasers. There was a comic before all this, but I'll just show you some of the artwork here. I'm sorry, I gotta show it. Look how cool this looks. Oh my god. So his style's changed a little bit here. This is getting a little bit more Capcom-y, video gamey, you know. But this is all his work here. A lot of these characters, it's cool seeing him draw them. Look how cool that. Oh my god, I can't handle this. But you can get over to, I think it's just battlechasers.com. We'll bring you to a bunch of this stuff. I don't know who drew this. Don't really care about that. But Joe Mad, his style influenced so many people throughout the 90s and 2000s that it's hard not to see, especially like a nose or the chunky fat hands. Uncanny X-Men, absolutely. Do I need a tissue? We're good. So we're going to wrap this up in a second here. Wrap the show up. All right, so we've got these colors on here that don't make sense, right? So we're going to go back to black. I'm going to lock this layer. All those red, oops, should be black now. So that's what the rendering would kind of look like that we added. And this one here, we're going to go back to white. And we're going to run our action. And just add a dab to all those lines. So, yeah, so this is basically what it would kind of look like. It's got a little bit of grit to it, you know. Now imagine the rest of it looks like this. When it's just in one spot, it kind of looks a little weird. But anyway, this is essentially where I'm thinking of going from now on. We'll see where the art goes and stuff like that. But it feels good. Feels clean. Feels awesome. Will the style of video games sell? I don't. It. Of course it will. It's Joe Madureira. It's old school role playing game. I might be speaking to myself on this one, but there's a lot of people, enough anyway, that want this kind of game that will fund it, where they want the old school Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, turn-based stats, that kind of stuff. I like my RPGs like that. Skyrim. What other games? Open-ended, loose RPGs. I don't know. I don't really have that much fun with myself. Anyway. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Like, I don't know if it'll be blockbuster level quality stuff like AAA. I don't think it's trying to be that. It's trying to hit that niche market of people like me that want our retro RPGs. The turn-based, people just can't handle it. 60-hour games, 100-hour, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's the stuff I'm into as well. No, Darksiders was a nod to Legend of Zelda, and this one again is more akin to the people like me that played stuff like that. Anyway, so thank you guys so much for spending time with me tonight. Hope you guys had a good time. You guys can head on over to jonathanrector.com if you guys wanted to see anything else that I'm working on or anything like that. I'd appreciate it. And if you came into the stream late, that's cool. Don't worry about it. This show and every stream gets uploaded on YouTube the next weekend coming up. So this Saturday or Sunday, this stream will be uploaded so you guys can watch the re-recording. Or if there's anything else you wanted to check out, I got a bunch of stuff on my YouTube channel. You guys can check out all that stuff. I really do appreciate it. And if you want a little bit more intimacy, a little bit, little help maybe, or you just want to talk about projects, work, or you need a little help or anything, if I'm able to do so, that's great. You can head on over to patreon.com/Jonathan Rector, and I got a whole bunch of goodies on there if you guys want commissions or sketches and all that fun stuff. I did start. I did make a post at the beginning of this month. If you're a Patreon member, you do get entered into a raffle, and the following month I will be drawing a sketch. And there's all kinds of images you can see that are like they're on there, and I'll mail it out, sort of just seeing how all that goes. So thank you guys once again. I did jump over it. If you did come into the stream a little late, that's cool. This stream is every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So mark your calendars, all that fun stuff. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, get all the notifications for when we go live. And we're going to wrap the show up here. And like we usually do at the end of the show, just for the people, still in the room, we're going to play our outro song. Some of you guys already know of it. And all that good stuff. So again, thank you guys so much. Keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.